So, this show still exists, kinda. When you think Netflix has something too big to ruin, they are always able to surprise me. Understand this show was scorching hot. Great viewership, pretty decent fan reception, everyone was talking about it. Even about season 2. And now we are here somehow. Henry Cavill's official last season in the main role, and people thought that the show would die when he is gone. But it's actually kinda dead already. Viewership is down bad, no one really cares much, and it feels like barely anybody was even talking about it. Why? Well, people were angry about the end of Cavill as Geralt, which was consistently called the best part of the show. The idiotic new way Netflix releases TV shows these days, which is in 2 parts, which somehow works even worse than release all of it day one approach. But in my opinion, the main reason is people finally realize that this show is trash. I will not pretend that I enjoyed the previous 2 seasons, cause I didn't. I despised both. Season 1 more than season 2, but it was still horrid. And I think that the Netflix audience is kinda done with the BS. We have so much good TV everywhere, on Netflix and on all the alternatives. So why would people bother putting this show on? But for me, this show had an even more uphill battle than usual, because when first 2 seasons dropped, I had time to waste my time on them. Now I don't. So, did the show actually started doing something? And did people who didn't watch this season miss out? Spoiler, they didn't. Let's start from the story they are trying to tell in season 3. In season 1, it was all about finding Ciri and, of course, trying to figure out what the hell is even happening because of that terrible non-linear timeline they did. Season 2 was about sitting in Kenmore and twiddling our thumbs, and season 3 is basically all about running away. Everyone is trying to catch Ciri, so Geralt, Yen and Ciri are constantly moving at all times so they won't get caught and trying to find any place safe. And to be completely fair, this absolutely could work. It could give the show a constant feeling of emergency and paranoia, where you are constantly looking around every corner. If someone isn't there waiting, it could have finally give the show some very needed tension. We could explore this world more in some more obscure places that we never seen in previous season and see something completely different from what we've seen so far. Well, it could, but obviously it doesn't. Here's probably the biggest problem of this show. It never feels like anything really matters. Anything actually important is happening on the screen, and it's mainly because we don't really feel that anything will happen if our main characters succeed or fail. It all feels completely inconsequential, and because of that constant feeling, it is really difficult to really get into anything that is happening. I had the same problem in season 1. It didn't bother me as much in season 2 because that part of the story was kinda put on the back pedal. But in this season, it's especially painful, where you are supposed to be constantly on the edge of your seat because what if they get caught? Yeah, exactly. What if they get caught? And I know you could say it's all about the journey, not the destination. But the journey is really not good. Like the amount of stupidity and the real bad moments that are spread around this show, combined with the complete lack of any life and the general boredom, makes season 3 feel like it never ends. Between the big scenes that are important to the main storyline, nothing good happens. And my problem isn't that the show is slow. There is a lot of great shows where most of the time nothing really happens. Best example, Better Call Saul. But shows like that are carried by great characters that you want to watch, great dialogues, great acting, or just very good directing and writing that keeps things interesting. This show has none of that. So the scenes where we are just supposed to chill, enjoy the ride, are just a very big struggle to get through. There is a lot of wasted time on this show. And it's just pain because these big moments could work if we weren't bored to our deaths because of the 40 to 50 minutes of nothing. What also doesn't help matters is that the main sides of the global conflict in this show, the ones that are chasing them and that put everything in this world into motion are completely indistinguishable. Like, seriously, what is the difference between them? Except one is racist and one is not. I'm not the biggest fan of the Witcher games, but in those games it was very clear what all of the sides of the big war are about. There was a clear difference between them. They had personality, if you could even use that word in this context. You know what I mean? You had reasons to dislike them, but at the same time make a choice which one is the lesser evil. Here there is nothing, and I mean nothing, except a few aesthetical differences. It kills any interest in the conflict, because why would you care who wins? What difference does it make, really? And they put so much time on it that it feels like a complete waste of time. One other head scratcher about the show is its weird relationship with the original books. I did not read them, but from what I know, it's based on books, but only kinda. It feels like they want to distance themselves from them as much as possible, while basically do the same story. It's weird. It's weird. So this season kinda changed the approach. From what I know, quite a few scenes, moments, and even entire dialogues in season 3 are taken from the books verbatim, and sometimes it's really clear. But see, here is a few problems with that. While all those things could and probably worked in the books, they absolutely don't work here. And there is one very simple reason: build up. Those moments in the books were built up by the character work, the story, the connection the reader felt to the characters, to this universe, and the relationships these characters had with each other. The feeling of importance when something important was supposed to happen, and the consequences of it. When something big happened, it mattered in the big picture. In this series, these are just scenes that add almost nothing to the experience. They are important to the story, but at the same time, they don't pack a punch that they were supposed to. Like, there was quite a few times where I was thinking, wow, this scene could be pretty cool, but it just doesn't work here at all. And then I find out that those are the scenes that are taken directly from the books. There is no music between the notes, it's just silence. Instead of these moments being powerful and feel really grand and important, they are kind of just meaningless in the big picture. Okay, let's get off the story real quick and let's talk about our main three characters. When everyone was singing high praises about Henry Cavill as Geralt, I was always kinda indifferent towards them. It was really clear the creators were really trying to make him as boring as possible, and for the most part, nothing really changed in season 3, except there is a few moments where he kinda gets loose and he's able to show off his incredible charisma and his very good acting skills. They are a few and far in between, mind you, but when they let him cook, this show gets kind of fun and feels less lifeless. Overall, there is more scenes in season 3 that are more lighthearted than in previous ones, and for the short moment, this show actually for the first time feels like it could have been something. But there is not enough of them to actually save this show. Ciri is as boring and uninteresting as she was in previous 2 seasons. There is no change. She has no personality, she's just kinda there, except a few moments where she is absolutely obnoxious and completely unwatchable because of that. The only difference between her and Geralt is that she doesn't get a single moment to shine, and I just don't understand why. Couldn't she get loose for a scene or two? I don't get it. It's also a big problem with basically every other character in this show. They are all completely lifeless, have zero personality, have a huge stick up their ass, and I don't really understand why. Like, if Geralt can get some life, couldn't Ciri get some too? So, let's now get to our easily worst character in this show, Yennefer. Why did they make her so obnoxious? I don't know. I do not understand. She was completely unwatchable in seasons 1 and 2, and in this one it's kinda different. For 80% of the time, she is the same completely unwatchable character as she was. But for 20% of the time, she is completely missable. Like, she is just there, isn't really doing anything. And you know what? Those moments, more of them please. I beg of you, give me more of those. I can't stand her. I do not understand why the writers of the show hate Yennefer so much, but I swear to God, I have not seen a more annoying character anywhere since Karen Page in Daredevil. She's also the owner of one of the worst character arcs in television right now, or lack thereof, honestly. Like, she's supposed to change and grow with the show. The most basic idea in television history. She's the only one to have one. Everyone is just stale and didn't move an inch since the start of the show. The problem with her character arc is there is no progression. We are just jumping from a point to a point with no real build-up. She was this, she acted like this, she thought this, nothing really happens, and then bam, she just completely changes her stance on something. Then again, nothing happens, and then bam again. She's at a completely different point all of a sudden. It feels like we are jumping from a conclusion to a conclusion with no actual writing between. Instead of taking a journey with a character or just watching their individual journey that she goes through in the show, we are just jumping from a fast travel point to a fast travel point like we are in a video game. Okay, let's get off the characters and let's get one of the biggest sins of this entire debacle, the length of the episodes. Every episode is around 1 hour long, mostly more than less. And my honest question is, who thought this was a good idea? They don't even have 10 minutes of material per episode. So why do they have to stretch it this long? And because of how lifeless and boring this show is, it feels like a never-ending stretch of absolutely nothing. Going through this show feels like a 5-mile walk through cement. You are kinda moving, but boy is it slow and difficult. It felt like I lost 2 years of my life, and this season takes only 8 hours. It just torture. What happened to good old 40 to 45 minutes per episode? This show really could use some shortening, because my god, there is nothing. Okay, let's now get to the visual palette of this series. This is one of the most expensive shows of all time. A huge budget, and I am not scared to say that this show looks god awful. The monsters are completely disgusting, of course in the wrong way. The CGI is completely horrific. The green screens are an absolute joke. I've seen better green screens on YouTube than on this super expensive TV show. And even the scenery looks just really bad. Most of the time, this show looks like a high school theater play, not one of the most expensive things television ever did. Why does it all look so bad? At least we don't have an atrocity like the ending of season 2, but still, it looks horrifically and I have just no idea why. Let's end this video on the second part of season 3, aka the final 3 episodes specifically, because they are just weird. Episode 3 actually feels like a pretty good ending to this season. The problem is, there is 2 more episodes. My theory is that episodes 7 and 8 were supposed to be in season 4, but the Henry Cavill living left the creators in a really weird spot, so they just put these episodes into season 3, where they neither fit or work, and they kinda take away from episode 6. They could have ended this season on an actual high note for the first time in this show's history, but in the state that it is, the ending is just a complete mess. So, is this show good? Well, there is nothing good about this show. Boring, lifeless, a lot of times insulting, and a never-ending mess that, except a few, and I mean few, kinda okay scenes, leaves you with nothing but boredom and confusion. It's just a waste of pretty interesting source material. High one, I guess. But if you disagree with me, If you actually like this show and you enjoyed season 3, if you want to discuss the show, maybe you just want to share your opinion of this show, let's talk in the comments.